Welcome. I know it's hard. It's hard. The song gets me pumped up.
Oh, Lordy.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Wednesday Night Live, our first show of 2022, guys. The first show. Oh my God!
We lived. We fucking made it.
We made it. Look, even Snoop Dogg's like, yeah, we made it. On tonight's show, we want to talk a little bit about what our community needs to do to change the stereotype of our community and get back to where it was 8-10 years ago. And also joining us tonight, because we always have to have someone represent the great state of Wisconsin, Morgan Daly. Welcome, Morgan. We got to have our bag milk and blocks of cheese. I got it right. Yeah.
From Quick.
I don't know. Things could be turning around for Trunk Holly in 2022. You might get shit right for once.
I am going to do my best to. I am going to. It's one of my. Actually, it is one of my New Year's resolutions, Tim, to work on the pronunciation of certain words when I talk on the show.
Okay, you got pronunciation correct, so we're off to a good start.
We are going to work on that this year. Let's say hello to our cast, and let's find out what their New Year's resolutions are. And let's start with the guy in Australia, Paul. How's your week going? And what is your New Year's resolution?
So far, so good. New Year's resolution. Yeah. What's that bullshit?
Come on.
Yeah, what promise to yourself are you going to break?
Yeah, what are you going to break by the second week of January?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'll break a keyboard or something.
Just say diet and get it over with. Just say diet.
Go to the gym. A diet. Me go to the gym? I don't think so. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's definitely not going to happen. The only gym I need to. No, the only gym I need. Lifting glasses. That's a workout.
Yeah. Got some guns. You got some guns due to that, don't you?
Come on, you have to have one. You had to make one. We all make one.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. That is just Paul's way of saying he is fucking perfect.
Yeah,
he's perfect.
I never fucking said that ever.
Oh, so you're having a good week. What are we talking, like 135 temperature there? I know American.
No, today we're around, I don't know, 80, 85 at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a really crazy storm last night, and that rattled a few cages, but no.
Did you? I always wondered. I mean, I don't know how close you are to the beach or not, but it was is like Christmas and New Year's. Is that like a big beach day?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. And then New Year's Day, you go to the beach for a barbecue.
That's what. Yeah. Oh, damn. Are you guys allowed to? I hate you people. Are you guys allowed to barbecue? We're not allowed to start fires anymore on the beaches here.
That's California, John. Yeah. Stop. There's California, and then there's the rest of the United States. Yeah, that's how that works.
There's the far left, and then everybody else.
Yeah. If anybody ever had any questions about how the United States works, you cross over California state line, and it's a whole other planet. It's a whole other world.
It is.
You can't have straws. You can't have barbecues. You can't vape. You can't pollute. Like you can't do shit in California. But you can get burned down or mud slid out of it, or earthquake to shit.
Yeah. Hey, we don't have that many earthquakes. We don't have any. Hey, I'll take an earthquake to what I read today on the news that Pittsburgh got hammered with a meteor shower, and one that actually landed that rocked Pittsburgh. I'll take an earthquake over a meteor shower, or a meteor that is the size of a fucking large printer hitting my fucking city. I'll take the earthquake, guys. I'm sorry. You can have all that other nonsense. Hurricanes, fucking tornadoes.
Well, is it that where you live in Modesto, you're not on an active fault? You're not on a.
Oh,
You're
we
not
still
on any
feel
kind.
them. We still feel
Your
them.
platelets don't slide.
Our plates are drunk and they just chill out. We live in the
Okay.
Central Valley. It's just chill. We're chill.
Okay. I took a trip to San Francisco when I was 13.
Oh yeah.
And they had one like in the middle of the night, and my brain was like, oh, did a plane just go overhead? And then the next morning, everybody was like, no, we had like a 3.5 on the Richter scale earthquake, and I'm like, holy shit! And so you it's a weird feeling. I'll just leave it at that.
Screw that. You know what? It was I think 8 years ago. I am in Buffalo, New York, visiting my uncle, and they have a fucking earthquake there. So I'm like thinking to myself, all right, wait a minute here. You guys are making fun of us that we have earthquakes, and you just had one that rocked this friggin' house, and you guys are okay with it? I'm like, give me a break. Come on.
That's not a problem.
Let's say hello to Morgan. If I asked you to go to your refrigerator, is your milk in a plastic container or a bag?
Plastic container
All
for
right,
your
all right.
information. We've only bought the bagged milk once.
All right.
As a novelty, right? You're like, I just want to know what it's like to drink milk out of a bag.
Just once. One time. Well, and it was actually Corey who wanted to go and get it. So I was like, fine, whatever.
It's like the hot thing to do.
Have fun, whatever.
Crazy. Go crazy.
Yeah. And so he was like thrilled. And I'm like, you're such a dork. But okay, have fun.
Yeah. All right. How's your week going, Morgan? And thank you for filling in for Mr. Tom tonight.
I'm always
Curtis on a roll early.
Yeah. Come on, Curtis. Jesus. How's my week going, you said? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I got over being sick. I still kind of every now and again sound kind of odd, but otherwise it's been pretty good.
Good. That's good. We're glad that you're here representing the great state of Wisconsin tonight, and the Packers representing the Packers.
That's right. Go Pack, go.
Yeah.
That's
Pack,
right.
go.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
All right, that's enough. Don't get crazy.
Wait. Did the championship game happen yet? I thought Morgan was vying for the championship of the fantasy football league.
I'm about to kick Bob's ass.
Bobby.
I'm winning fantasy football, and the Packers are going to the Super Bowl. And
something's wrong when. All right, I'm gonna sound like a male chauvinist pig here.
Here we go. Yep. Let's go.
There's something wrong with the system when a woman wins a fantasy football league. That's all I'm saying.
Not true.
No.
Not true.
No. That just means that I picked better than you, and I was more strategic than you.
See, Mallory won her league.
Oh, Mallory!
I won last year in my other league.
Morgan might be joining you. She may. It's going to come down to the wire. It is going to come down to the wire.
I wouldn't say that.
I just to give everybody, because this isn't a sports show, but
here we go.
I'm just gonna give Morgan her light. Where is it? Hold on here, Morgan. I'm gonna give you. I'm giving you your just due. Is that the proper way? Is that the proper way of saying it? Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah. I mean,
you're all year.
I know. Here you go. I want to make sure everybody sees this. So hold on,
That's
everybody.
Right, Mallory. Go, Aaron Rodgers, MVP.
Here is Miss Morgan and Mr. Bob. They're fighting for that trophy right there in the middle. Morgan, I think you're up by like 10 points. Good luck.
14, actually.
Yeah. We wish you luck.
Thank you.
Let's say hello to our resident rocker, and he's also going to say hello to everybody out there because Tim does such a great job with it. Shout out them names, Tim. Shout them out.
Hey, everybody. No, hey, Mallory, Shannon, Leanna, Curtis, Bill in the house. I love Bill. Bill is my savior. If Bill wasn't around, you might not have the news. So what's up, buddy? Good to see you again. Who else we got? Is that Anna? It's Greek, right? Am I reading Greek?
Where did you see Anna?
Up there. If you scroll a little bit, Luke, you were late. Shame on you, Luke. Shame on you, Luke. Who else? Am I missing anybody? Got Mallory. I think I got everybody. Yeah, that's everybody.
Yeah,
Shannon's in there.
Shannon's in the house.
Shannon, yeah. It's Wayne Miller Wayne Miller chimed in. He said, I am.
I am.
I believe you. I believe you, Wayne. You are. Who else? That's it. I think I got everybody.
I think you did.
And I'm gonna have to like
Green
adopt
Thumb.
the whole.
Green Thumb. You forgot Green Thumb.
Is Green Thumb in there?
Green
there
Thumb.
he is. Yeah, I do see Green Thumb. What's up, Green Thumb? Sorry, I was scrolling a little too fast. Sorry. So it's the blonde in me.
Yeah.
So Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody here. Happy 2022. Glad to see everybody's smiling face. My week. It's been long, and it's been a short week so far, and it's been long. A lot of like today. I have to get up early because the business that I work in, we don't unload 53-foot trucks. We unload containers. That's how all of our product comes in, and nothing's on pallets. We have to offload it by hand. And so it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise. So we were all there early to unload the container, and then the email came in. Non-milk money. Yeah. That's a killer name, dude. Like
milk money. But do you have money for milk in the bag?
Or no milk money. I said nom, like nom nom nom. No. It was like a license plate, man. I was reading fast.
Yeah.
Chill. So the email came in that the the cab broke down, so we weren't going to get the container today. So there was like 50% of me that like did a little jump for joy, like fuck yeah, no container. And then I went, oh shit, they're coming tomorrow. So I didn't get completely out of it. So got to do all that again tomorrow. But I had a good New Year's Eve. Went to a party where a friend's band played.
Nice.
It was a it wasn't a huge party. I'd say there's maybe like 30 there.
All right, I got a question for you, Timmy.
Yep.
Did you find someone to kiss at midnight?
No, I just
you went solo.
Hugged a bunch of dudes.
Oh.
What's up, bro? Happy New Year, bro. That kind of shit. Yeah. No, I mean there was some female persuasion there, but no, I didn't go sucking face with
late
anybody.
45, 50-year-old.
No, I mind my P's and Q's, man. I'm a good kid. I'm a good kid. I don't want to have to register as a sex offender for no reason.
Oh, dude, that's about the only day. That's the only day and time. No, I take it back. It's not. Well,
meaning I don't have a good reason to.
Yeah, it's the only time of the year that you can get away with that. It's just like, hey, it was just a moment.
I don't know. I just, you know what? I leave that up to the people on Dick Clark's, rockin' New Year's Eve, whatever, where you get to see people sucking face on national TV. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, and the occasional guy that gets down on a knee has to do it on national.
Oh wait, so did you see that? There was I saw a news article the other day. I think it came through on like maybe Monday or Tuesday, and it was a picture of a guy proposing to a woman on Dick Clark's New Year's Eve show. And of course, the internet went crazy, because there's always, the couple. Turned out that he had already proposed to her like a month and a half ago, and so they basically used him as props.
They used people. I just lost all faith in television that day. I lost my
now.
Yeah, I lost my what is that childhood innocence that day. No, I'm joking.
You lost your childhood innocence, or you lost your virginity?
No, virginity. That happened way back. Way back. Yeah. I think that's the moment you just grab that girl at the bar. You just grab her and you just lay that kiss on her.
No.
Don't
No.
expect.
I don't want any demons following me home.
Yeah, that's true. So
Say
you
none of
don't walk around in Christmas time with what do you call it, and just hold it
Mistletoe?
over mistletoe over girls' heads there, or women.
That's
Actually,
Christmas though. That's
Yeah.
not New Year's.
That's it. That's the second time that you can get away with it. A little mistletoe, and get that kiss at the office. No,
Okie dokie.
Office.
well, you don't want to kiss your sister. It's not like you're walking around.
And that's
with
never
mistletoe.
going to happen
Yeah,
because
come on.
I don't have a sister. So
All right. Are you all done, Tim? Are you done?
I'm done.
Are you done? And I had a great week. I don't want to get into all of it. I had a great week. I want to get into the show. Everything went smoothly this week, so I'm happy. I had a great New Year's, quiet one. And what I want to talk about today, God, this is kind of a tough one because I know I'm going to piss some people off out there. But before I get into that, something new that I said I was going to do this year, but we don't do this very often on our show because we feel that should be up to you guys if you want to share and do that. But we would appreciate that you guys take a little time out and here it is. Share, like, and follow, guys. We would appreciate it, guys. Give us that like, share the show with friends and family. I guess I don't know.
It's well, I mean, if with sans a few cuss words, it's a family show.
Yes. As long as we keep Paul under control, we're okay.
Yeah.
Paul. It's more so you.
Yeah, me and Paul. It's pretty much me and Paul with the F-bomb and.
Not me. I don't get into trouble anymore.
No, you've been pretty good. You've been pretty good.
He's syndicated now. He can't.
Yeah,
he can't.
The country of Australia is watching him.
Yes.
So yeah,
No
give us a
comment.
like. Give us a like, share it, give us a follow. We appreciate it, guys. What I want to talk about is it's kind of how we are portrayed by portrayed. I said protrude, huh? So strike one already. I'm going to take counts. But how we are looked on, through non-vapors and smokers and stuff like that. And I think this year in 2022, I think not just our community, but I think companies need to start taking responsibility as far as marketing and what they do to portray this product of vaping. And I think it needs to get back to where it was 8-10 years ago, where it was about saving people's lives. It wasn't about looking cool. It wasn't about the nicotine, well, it was about the nicotine because the nicotine helps us get through this process. But I want to start with, I'm going to start with Paul because he's kind of heavily into the industry himself. The company's choices of influencers. That's the first thing I want to talk about. As far as you're in Instagram, all of us are in Instagram. We all see the pictures that are out there. What needs to change as far as influencers in 2022 to set a different example of what this industry is about?
There's numerous things that should change. Probably the biggest one, and we haven't seen a lot of it recently, is the use of scantily clad women like it used to be a few years ago. That's one thing that has really slowed down over the last 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the influencers that they're showing, or the photos, they're looking still very young. There's not a lot of older, I'm not saying ancient, but I'm saying there's not a lot of older people showing products. The walkthroughs of products as well, and the way they're photographed, that's also changed. But some of the influencers should not at all be photographed with a product.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been in this business for a long time, and I've never, pretty much my deal was the product itself. I didn't put myself into the picture. Very seldomly did I add myself to the picture. But then again, I am, I hate doing this, but I don't got my boobs hanging out. I don't have half my ass hanging out. I don't have my belly button shown with a piercing and, all this other stuff. And don't get me wrong. Hey, get it where you can. I'm a capitalist. If you can make money, make money. but I think that needs to change. That I think companies need to realize it. And again, you're right. I mean, there's not a lot of 50-year-olds that are on Instagram.
No.
There isn't.
No.
But I mean, if these companies go out and hire these influencers that are in their mid 20s and 30s, pretty much if you look at that, it's sex sells. Let's just, let's get as many followers as I can. Do they give a shit about the product? The one of the things I used to laugh when a company would pursue me to do photos is I would ask, do you want it to be about your product, or you want it to be about some girl that's just, nobody's seen them, nobody can remember what that product was. So Tim, how about you, Tim? I mean,
I have to agree with Paul on the first point. I think that, in any industry, whether it be, any kind of consumer industry, unless it's something that's extremely, kind of oldish or fuddy-duddy-ish. Maybe those are poor words, but I'm saying, but in terms of the vape space, I do think that the tamping of the the sex sells angle needs to kind of quiet itself a little bit. I feel like they're pitching to a particular demographic. That doesn't really sell to someone who's older, who's trying to quit smoking, looking to figure out how to transition to vaping. That's more for the sensationalist side of it. The more experienced vapor that's looking for the hot new device, and and somehow subconsciously, you put a tattooed chick with her chest hanging out, that makes it look more more millennial, more Gen X or something like that. I've never bought a device just based on based on that factor alone. So I never really did understand. I'm not saying it's not cool to look at, Curtis.
Right,
I think what I'm trying to say though is that when you're trying to put a product out to market, it might attract, a younger person to something like that. But again, the message is lost, because then it's no longer about, look, here's this device that'll help you to stay, to get off of smoking. Because, I mean, even down to the pods, they do it with the pods too. They do it with all the small stuff, the AIOs and the compact stuff. And I just think that doesn't really, that helps somebody sell a few products, but it doesn't really send the message like it should be. Younger
device.
Yeah. I do think there needs to be some kind of an ad campaign where products, maybe the appropriate or the relative types of products need to be focused around an older representation. When I say older, I mean 40s, 50s, someone coming from that whole, I smoked a pack and a half for 42 years.
Yeah.
And she might be a little gray-haired, but it's still, I think that if you want to get that message out and it's the right type of product for that particular type of customer, that kind of advertising needs to be visible to people. And maybe, I don't know what you target, Better Homes and Gardens. I mean, I don't know what publication you drop those things in, but I think at this point it's about the story. It's about the quit journey. It's that relevancy that needs to be portrayed to the crowd that is older, that really would benefit from this most. Because I'm just going to say that a younger crowd probably hadn't been smoking nearly as long. Right.
And I think they need to get that. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you could go through Instagram and you're not going to see a lot of people in their late 40s or early 50s that have the numbers that these companies are looking for as far as followers. I mean, that is the catch. That's the thing that these companies are looking for. They're looking for followers. What is this guy? And the minimum, pretty much, when I started doing it, was 10,000 and above. If you had 10,000 above, you had an opportunity to represent a company. So I want to get Morgan's take. Morgan, because you are the youngest one here, 22 years old. And you're on IG.
Yep.
Do any of these influencers that you see now draw you towards a product because they are representing that product? Do you take that into consideration when you're buying a product? Do you care who's representing it?
No, I mean, I've never bought anything just based off of. I mean, granted, I mean, I've like looked into things that someone like might be advertising, but I've never really actually like bought something just because someone was using it. I think when I first started vaping, maybe that would have been a little bit more likely because I was new to it. I was doing a ton of research on what device I wanted, what you know, things like that. So like.
So you didn't care that it was someone in your age demographic that was using that product at that time. It didn't matter to you.
No.
So it could have been a dude, could have been me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I watched. I forget what the channel was called now, but it was a guy in New York that did a bunch of reviews and stuff like that. And I watched a lot of his videos. I forget who else I watched, but I think they were both guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, it doesn't. I mean, granted, like when I scroll through Instagram and I see, people who are advertising, go Rams, whatever. But when they're advertising stuff, like I don't like, if anything, I think of your message, John. It was a couple weeks ago of you saying like, look, these people who are on here, promoting stuff, and it's like they should be the ones who are kind of doing, more of the advocacy work,
right?
Because they have, such a large. So every time I see a picture, I actually go to look and see if they do, any kind of, things like that. And of course, none of them do.
None of them do. Yeah,
and
none of them do.
So that's actually now what I think of when I'm scrolling through Instagram.
Right.
I see a person, my age, vaping and showing off,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not hard. I mean, I tried because I ran a few teams of like 10 photographers for a few companies, and my thing was, okay, promote, but also promote advocacy. So at least have a link to CASA in your thing, whether anyone ever clicks on it or not, it doesn't matter to me. But at least have
you listed apart, though.
Yeah,
like you did something.
And if you're creative enough, and you can put those two things together in a photo, I love that. And there was a few of the guys, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, that used to work with Artist Liquids, and we used to do that. That was our thing, was trying to promote that liquid with some sort of advocacy in the photo itself. That's where I kind of get upset. And Bill, you're right. I mean, the FDA has made it harder, but they made it hard. I mean, when you're an influencer, you are in a way kind of representing that company, but you are also a consumer. So you have a little leeway there on how you want to promote that image and what you can and cannot say in that image. There's ways around it, and this is an industry that's designed around loopholes, and we use those loopholes when we were doing our photos. I still was able to say this product personally myself, what it's done for me.
Right. I was just going to ask the question. I mean, you might, I mean, if you're representing a company, let's just say, take, for example, it's JUUL,
Yeah.
And you want to use an older demographic person in an ad campaign to promote the A2 or the G2 or the Cocoa line or something like that, because I mean those are perfect devices for people trying to transition as one option. You might not be able to say all the medical stuff that you can't say, but could that advert say, this device helped me quit a 2-pack a day habit for 40 years? That's a testimonial, as opposed to really sort of kind of like gleaning that you're trying to say, oh well, this is healthy, or it's you're not going to get cancer or something like. I think those are the things that were effectively banned from really talking about in representation behind a company. That's the kind of ad campaign that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like the ad campaign, where the person's like don't smoke and they got the to their throat,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of like and you could I don't know what you could say to some infinite degree. I'm just saying
Yeah.
maybe that kind of an angle.
Do you think, Paul, that that's something we should make these companies do that are out there? Should we as a community say, let's show the ain'ts and Instagram and social media that it's not just a bunch of 25-year-old people vaping because it's cool, and change the narrative?
I won't even work with a company that doesn't dip their toe in the water of advocacy first and foremost. Okay, that's been a rule of mine now for a couple of years. Secondly, I'd like to see the transparency of some of these companies come to a completely different level. It's not secret squirrel anymore. It's time that they pony up and they actually put a foot forward. And unless the company's willing to do that, I don't want to know about them. I want them to be more transparent with who they're working with in the background, what they're actually spending their money on, and actually putting out real information and real data sets, for that matter, on their websites, their testing data for their liquids and things like that. I would love to see that on their websites. That's one thing that I hope 2022 someone out there listens to me for once and says, well, right, let's put the testing data there. Let's prove to the idiots that are running around the background with billions of dollars in their accounts and on Bloomberg and Gates and the rest of the fools, we can show them that we're trying to do the right thing.
Right.
And some of the labels, tone them down. Just a tad.
Yeah.
Right? You can still get the message out there with a really cool black and white or a single like splash color. You can still get what's in the bottle. And it's what's in the bottle that should count, not what is on the outside label. That's another thing that they've got to bring to a head.
I think our community, they need to realize that we are the consumer. So if we decide to stop buying a product because they are not meeting those standards, that's the message that I think we need as a community to get out there. Hey, change the way you're marketing this product. Change the influencers that you're using that to promote your product, and get back to what this product was all designed to be, what it was 8-10 years ago. It was 8-10 years ago it was about saving lives. And I know the FDA has made some changes and made things a little more difficult for the influencer to get that message out there, but like I said, there's loopholes, and this is an industry of loopholes. We have found loopholes in everything, and the same thing applies with influencers. And that's where I'm going to get into the next thing, forcing companies to change their marketing strategies. Is that something we can do as a consumer, you guys?
Well, you have to. You have to be able to say to them, well, fine, change your ways, or no, I'm not going to buy your liquid anymore. Simple. Same as devices, for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is from the industry. Okay. I won't buy it anymore. Simple as that.
I mean, it happens with products every day worldwide. I mean, battles with Chick-fil-A, battles with I can name a whole bunch of companies that have gone through that situation where it took the consumer saying, hey, enough is enough. Make some changes, or you're not going to have us as a customer. No. What are your thoughts, Tim?
I mean, I certainly think that marketing strategies need to be a little bit more better placed. I mean, I think we're under so much scrutiny at this point for any particular company to kind of turn their nose up to it and still try to use the same old tactics to sell their products, because all they're worried about is their bottom line, and not the whole idea that, that certain sectors of the world are they're about to lose their customers altogether. And I'm not trying to say I hold them solely responsible for them being the one of the factors to it ending, but I think they need to be more self-aware and understand that their marketing practices are under the microscope, and any bad look on them is a knock on everybody, because their business practices are a reflection of us, because we may not buy that e-liquid because we think it looks appetizing, like it's a kid's candy,
right,
or something like that, or we may not be buying that device just because some female was holding it, in a half topless and in a mini skirt. But what I'm saying though is that they know who they're targeting when they do that stuff.
Right.
They know exactly who they're trying to. They know what kind of customer base and age demographic and bracket they're trying to bring into that fold. But I think they have to understand that the view is wider than that. That if you decide to continue forward with these sort of questionable marketing tactics, that you're basically bottoming out. You're gonna pull the rug out from underneath people who are buying their products that don't necessarily associate to that imagery, but they like their products, and they're going to lose those too, right? So now I'm not going to be able to buy this juice or those devices anymore because of, you wanted to try to get, you wanted to try to fill those money bags as quick as you could before it was all gone anyway. I mean, I'm going to guess that some of these companies that continue to do that stuff realize that if their road ends in America, they can go overseas with it, or they can take it to another market that's not specifically an area that has been challenged.
Right. I mean, Morgan, again, you're the youngster. You're the youngster that drinks milk in a bag. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I love it. I know I'm number one. Does your choice of a product have anything to do with the label? And
Not
do you think?
necessarily the label.
Let me. Do you think it has anything to do with the label? And do you think does it attract the younger person to jump into this industry, or not industry, but community as a vapor?
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say no, because because I think a lot of it has to do with sort of just the exposure of products. I don't necessarily think that, okay, like, for example, like, before I started vaping, I never really saw any kind of vaping products. I never, and even if I had gone, because I'd never been to a vape shop until I had started vaping. So, like, I, didn't really know what was all there. Like, I don't personally think that the labels are so powerful that they will draw people into it. I don't think it's based off of that at all.
Well, how about the first time you stepped into that vape shop? I'm kind of curious, and for you guys too as well, Paul and Tim. Did it matter that it had? Let's go back. Well, I can go far back with Tim and Paul, but maybe you're not so far back. But did it matter that it had the look of the Cheerios cereal or the Fruit Loops name in it? And did any of that have anything to do with you purchasing that product?
Not necessarily, other than to maybe kind of give me a better handle on what the flavor profile really truly was, because I think one of the biggest challenges that I had personally that I missed the boat on was that I never went to the vape shops early on where you could go in and taste things. When you'd have like this 50 or 60 cardos that were sitting there, and and you got you could
pre-COVID.
Right. When they would just give you like the little rubber tips or whatever, and then you could try different things.
Yeah.
I ended up falling into the situation where a lot of my purchases were based on either someone's opinionated review on YouTube, or it was like, oh, that sounds good, or something like that. And I do think that the labels, in some ways, kind of emphasized the flavor profile that they were trying to project, but I don't know that I bought it just because the label was cool or colorful or flashy or candy-ish.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, now I understand your message. You're trying to say that tastes just like this real world thing that I've eaten 100 times. And so I get where you're going with this. Unfortunately, I would say probably 70% of the time you get it and it didn't taste anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how much money I blew on wasted juice, you know, trusting labels or trusting cleverly worded descriptions.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I'll tell you, when I set foot into my first vape shop, the first thing I noticed actually was all of the devices. My eye was drawn to all the devices, all the tanks, stuff like that. So like I didn't even really like look, I didn't even really, look at all of the juices and stuff like that at
Yeah.
first. And
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of knew what flavors I had wanted from the get-go, and so I pretty much just said, okay, this is what I'm looking for. Which ones do
Yeah, you walked in there and said,
recommend?
"I like Fruit Loops. What do you got that tastes like Fruit Loops?" Well, I'm just, yeah. I mean, that's Paul. I mean, I think things were different there. I don't know as far as labels were concerned as there in Australia. Was that ever an issue there? Did they? Because I don't remember. I remember the UK talking about it, but I don't remember Australia bringing up labels.
No, Australia has brought up labels, and there's chatter now for this year that they would like to actually see plain packaging brought in, very similar to what they've done with cigarettes, and big ass warnings all over the bottle. And we've said, okay, we'll put the nicotine warning, but then again, why should we put the nicotine warning? Because there is no nicotine in the liquid to start with.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to add it. But yeah, the labels got thrown under the bus a few times here with a couple of the different companies from the US with all the color. The marketing strategies that they put forward, yes, there was a few issues. We've had websites now.
That was good shit, Curtis. That was good shit.
Yeah, I remember Pancake Man.
That was fucking. That was.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Crack in a bottle, baby. That was crack in a bottle.
Heaven. Yeah, diacetyl heaven. I remember it. But here we had testing bars up until the government shut that down on us. We had loyalty programs for shops. The government shut that down on us as well. There's no loyalty programs whatsoever anymore. Not allowed.
Yeah.
We used to have testing bars with, anywhere between 50 and 100 liquids. That was the good old days where you could actually sit there with a menu, go through the menu, and then go and hunt down. Everything is different there. I know. We're upside down, Nick. Don't worry about it. But
in the beginning,
and then they went after our websites, stating that we couldn't have links to advocacy on our websites, that we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. All the products now are actually behind a closed system, like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You actually have to go in and know what you want by looking on their website first and then saying, well, can I have a look at that, please?
All right.
And it's like, what the? You can't test anymore in shops. You can't do any of that. You might be lucky and you might get a drip of liquid on your hand. But yeah, what's this?
Yeah, no, Stu, I agree. No, I agree though. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that you could go to specifically just completely like absolutely boring labels. I mean, if you look at anything in our world that's around us, I mean, you could even say cigarettes, right? I mean, cigarettes don't necessarily cater to like some flavorful, fresh looking thing, but they do try to put like some designish kind of things on there to kind of set them apart and make them recognizable. So I don't know that you could go to a generic format for e-liquids and expect to be as successful selling something. I think what I found with the colorful labels and There are some that kind of take it a little too far. Mallory, I saw Mallory's comment.
Yeah.
She brought up the whole idea about how she'd be willing to try Candy King juice because it looked interesting based on the label. I think you have to somehow find a balance between making something look semi-appealing from a physical standpoint, sitting on a shelf and not looking like, some kind of serum that's just identified in a bottle. But I do think that the overly presumptuous labels of like gushing candy and juice shooting out of it and the splatter,
Gummy worms.
That kind of stuff is just dumb, right?
Yeah.
Now, so I'll pick one juice line, for example, that I think somehow found a balance between a unique identifier, but at the same time didn't really overdo it. Like, look at the Naked line. When you go look at the Naked juice bottle lines,
perfect.
They've got like pastel-y colors and things like that make it look, attractive, and maybe their name kind of helps, like Naked. Like, ooh, what's that all about? It's a little forbidden or something like that. I think they got it right. They got it right. So you have a product on the shelf that looks appealing, is identifiable by the different colors and the product names themselves. But at the same time, they didn't really make it look like, some kid would be like, oh, hey, look at that gusher candy on it, it's grape and Skittle, and that's over. And then the people that really robbed and did the intellectual property rights stuff, like there was that one e-liquid line that looked like Fanta juice or something like that. I mean, that's bullshit. Quit ripping.
Malaysia. That was Malaysian.
The Apple one too that looked like the apple juice.
The juice box. Yeah, the juice box one.
Yeah, juice box. That was pushing the limits, baby, right there.
But I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Like, using kind of like my brother as an example, I think he was 15, 16 at the time my mom caught him vaping, and at the time I think he was either because there's one of those like stick ones, like the Views or the things like that. It's like that doesn't have all colorful like extraordinary, and he still somehow I don't know how that little bastard went and got it, but probably little bastard or something. Well, sometimes, but I mean, so like for me, it's kind of like, well, does it honestly really matter? Because people are still getting, people who are underage are still getting their hands on it anyway.
Right.
If like colorful packaging and stuff like that is really what is drawing people, really.
Personally, I would gather to say that the younger crowd, the much younger crowd that's trying to sneak it around and get away with shit, is probably not buying those colorful bottles of e-liquid, even though that might look attractive to them. They're buying pods and stuff, that have a flavor profile, but they're not even, maybe mango makes it taste better, but they don't even give a shit about the flavor really at that point. It's all about how can I hyperventilate and get a massive nicotine buzz.
See, that's my thing. That's what I would love to talk to you. I would love for you to interview your brother and find out what drew him to vaping, because that's where I want to know. Because is it the same thing that drew Tim, Paul, me to smoking? Was it because it wasn't? We didn't start smoking because we wanted the nicotine. We didn't start smoking because we wanted to smell like cigarettes. We started because it looked fucking cool.
Well, I bet you $50 that's probably that one of his friends was probably using it, and it was really funny because he was stupid enough to do it inside the house, and he tried to like.
Well, he figured, hey, mom's just gonna think it's an air freshener. Well,
and that's what he tried to tell her.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Really? Come on, really?" And then like 5 minutes later, he comes out and he's like, "Here it is." Like, sorry. And I'm like, you're a dumbass. But okay.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Even with JUUL, okay. In the beginning, was it because it was the cool factor, or was it about the nicotine high? Because to me, I'm willing to bet if you polled all those kids in the beginning like they should have and asked them that simple question, was it peer pressure? Was it to look cool? Or was it for the nicotine high? I'm willing to bet that to look cool and pure pressure be 1 and 2 before the nicotine high. I really do believe that, just from my experience of why I started smoking, because my brother smoked, my dad smoked, they looked cool. It wasn't, you didn't start smoking for those other reasons. I didn't start smoking because I wanted the nicotine. Who wants to smell like a fucking ashtray? I didn't. So to me, I think that question should have been asked first in the beginning. Why did you start using a JUUL? Was it because you wanted to look cool? Was it because it was pure pressure? Or was it because of the nicotine high you wanted? And I'm willing to bet 1 and 2 would have been, I wanted to look cool because everybody else was doing it, and 2, pure pressure. I mean, am I off the wall here with this guy?
I think peer pressure plays a major factor into it, especially when kids are growing up and they're hanging with their buddies and stuff, and their friends start trying shit. It might have some resistance at first, but usually everybody breaks down at some point in the game. But I do think that I think it's more about the forbidden fruit element to it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not supposed to have this, so I'm gonna try it anyway, just to see what it's all about. Drinking was the same when I was young, growing up. Smoking was sort of the same thing. It was like, I realized, I think my first identifier with smoking when I first tried it was like teen angst, and I was just pissed off at my mom and dad, and
rock and roll.
and people were doing it to kind of like rebel. So I the first day I ever smoked a cigarette, I was mad at my parents, so I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood, just get out of the house, and I ran into my friend Aaron, who happened to be doing almost the same exact thing. And he had cigarettes, and I'm like, let me try that. Let me. I was like, let me, thumb it up to my parents. Let me try this, and I did, and and that unfortunately started a really bad life choice for me at that point. But it is what it is.
Great point.
Mine was through trauma more than anything else, and the loss of my father at a very young age.
Yeah.
No one in my family smoked. My aunt did, until she contracted breast cancer, but no one else smoked in my family. I was the only one. It was through a lot of the traumas growing up the way I did grow up, and then finding out things about my life and my family that I hadn't known until that point in time. And a number of people know that, yes, I'm adopted. That also took a huge hit on me. Growing up and after your father passing away, and then you find out, well, you're adopted. Hang on a second. What do you mean by that? And then you've got to go down that whole pathway. Same as, look, I was drinking, using drugs, partying at a very young age. No two ways on that one. And it took me a long time. And all those years that I smoked, and I smoked for over 30 years, I tried then when I was diagnosed with emphysema. And I thought, well, my doctor said to me, my thoracic, he said, either you give away the smoking or you're going to be walking around with an oxygen tank within the next 12 months. Yeah. That scared the shit out of me after I saw like my scans. And it's what?
Curtis.
Oh, fucking, you're on fire, dude.
I knew there was a similarity.
But yeah, for me, it was trauma more than anything else. Yeah. And because of sport, we were using the nicotine as a balancing agent and as a performance enhancer, but we had the other problems with the coughing and the spluttering.
Did someone tell you this is going to help you relax and be more calm, or did you just jump in it knowing that this was going to help you? That's why I'm kind of curious. When you said it was trauma, but did you consider that, or did you say to yourself, this is going to help me relax, or did you just, because was it still the cool factor? Because it could have.
It was the cool factor. There's no two ways in that. Yeah. And I grew up in a pretty tough neighborhood, and I went to a pretty tough high school as well. and we were all smoking at school. But whenever we got caught, we'd get into trouble for it. You know, they'd take our cigarettes away and everything like that. But then later on, I think I was a senior by this stage, and we were smoking joints with one of our teachers, you know, at school. Like, and we were always stoned for the last couple of years of school. Well, like, there was a whole crew of us, and we were going out to parties and doing all kinds of stupid shit back then. And like through my teens, I was into roller skating or speed skating, cycling, into surfing. I spent most of my time like at the beach, like growing up. Like all year round, we were at the beach, whether it was summer, winter, autumn, whatever. We're always at the beach or chasing waves. But it was a cool factor to a point. But I didn't know that it was going to calm me down. And
you had no idea.
It did. No.
Yeah, but
zero idea.
Yeah, you had no idea that's what it was going to do for you until you had it.
Yeah, I think it all starts with curiosity. Like, hey, what's this all about? Like, how's it going to make me feel? And you know, you either stay away from it because you're too worried about what negative impact it could have on you, or you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it just to see what happens. I want to see if it makes me dizzy, or what does it taste like and stuff like that. So I mean, I do think that there's a big element of curiosity, but to Mallory's point too, I think a lot was said about vaping early. I don't want to say early on, but at least it felt like a few years or into my journey where it seemed like people were promoting, even in the private sector. I'm talking about like people that were actively vaping, like telling other people like, oh man, no, it's cool, man. You don't smell like a cigarette, and you got these cool flavors and stuff. Like, yeah, just try it. It's not going to kill you or something like that. And so I do think that people kind of painted it with a broad brush that made other people feel comfortable with it. Like, like I don't want to come home at 2 a.m. and have to sneak past my parents and I smell like a cigarette walking in the house and stuff like that. So if everybody hears that kind of crap, they're be like, fuck yeah, I'll try that. Sure. Yeah. Let me see, and then it just ends up becoming sort of a social component of their lives,
Yes, Nick, you have a very clean, nice label. That's the way it should be. I mean, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, that's exactly 100%.
Perfect label. I don't know if I can make it bigger. That's
what
she said.
It looks like one of those pH testers you get for a fish tank.
Oh yeah, it does. In the swimming pool, test.
Sorry, Nick, I wasn't trying to paint a bad picture. It doesn't taste like fish water.
You know where to find them, Nick. Yeah. Nice, clean label. Yeah, I mean, it to me, like, for me, it was, I just got tired of sitting in the back seat of that car because we used to go cruising on Friday night, and my brother and my cousin in the front seat smoking, and smelling this stuff. I didn't want to, there's nothing pleasing about smoking, and anybody. This is what I don't get. Okay, here, everybody in the beginning when we started smoking, we got that buzz, we got that high. All right, and we didn't chase that high, but we continued to smoke for 25 years. I wasn't chasing that buzz because I knew that I was never going to get that buzz ever again unless I maybe went a few days, right? We went a few days, that first one, you got that buzz. So to me, we kept, what kept you smoking, Tim? What kept you smoking too, Paul? Because we weren't chasing the high. We weren't really chasing the nicotine anymore. I think.
Go ahead. No,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think for me, it was the ritualistic element of it. At some point, it was like the whole, for whatever it was worth. It was like, oh, like after like a good meal or something like that, or you just kind of like, you had that fidgety kind of thing going on, and smoking seemed to fill that void and stuff like that. So I mean, I felt like after a while, I was just smoking to smoke. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I was just smoking to smoke because it just was kind of an integrated part of my life. And I was like, well, I don't have too many other vices. You know, this can be that one or something like, because I was never really a consistent drinker.
Yeah.
But when I was drinking, cigarettes played a big part in that. It was like you had to have your cigarettes when you were out drinking and stuff like that. So I think after a while, it just became that sort of ritualistic
A force of habit.
component in my life.
How about you, Paul? I mean, you weren't chasing that buzz. We stopped chasing that buzz a long, long, long fucking time ago. And we can't hear you, Paul. You sound amazing, though.
In my 20s and 30s, when I switched from like tailor-mades or regular cigarettes to rolling tobacco, and then I was chasing the flavors.
Yeah.
Because there was ones that I was getting my hands on tobacco that had rum and wine and bourbons, like different spices and different notes that I was looking at, right? That's what it was all about. But it was also the industry that I worked in. Like I worked in horse racing, and it was caffeine and nicotine that kept us going because it was a mild stimulant. But it also helped keep my weight down at that stage, because we kept ourselves at specific weights for a long, long time, and that screwed my body up as well. Going back to Nick's label, that's one of my old labels, black and white.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was gonna just DM you to send me your label.
Yeah, that was.
I don't have to do it now.
No, it's completely clean.
Clean.
Nothing.
Yeah. I do think there's a unique difference too, though, right? When we talk about these cleaner labels, I think the greater majority of us have now had plenty of years of experience in the industry, that we don't need the colorful label to decide what flavor profile we decide to buy. So for us, it's fine. It's like you can make them black and white and very, very.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to
androgynous. It wouldn't matter.
Generic.
The first thing I looked at when he showed the label was the flavor profile at the bottom of the label. So I'm like, yeah, I like kiwi and I like strawberry. Yeah. So I'd be willing to give it a go. Do you know what I mean? I don't need much more than that to really kind of decide whether or not I would buy it, at least to try it.
You think, though, that's the difference between the veteran vapor and the new guy that walks in the shop? Like, I mean, you're like me. The first thing I look at, not the label, I look at the same thing you just said. I look at that profile.
Flavor profile. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And because where I'm at now in the industry, like profiles, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And like another company, Five Corns, that's another company. But
their labels are reasonably
very basic.
It's about chess.
Another clean one is the J-Bo's line. Nice clean label, pretty fancy looking little label. I mean, we're not asking for remember back in the days the generic lines of beers. It was just a white label with the word beer on it. I mean, we're not asking for that. I mean, you could still add some color, and it's still about product appeal. You still want some sort of appeal to your product, like your label, but you don't need the zebra. You don't need the fucking gummy worms. You don't need the candy images. You don't need any of that.
But do you think that maybe sometimes the companies that are marketing these products aren't really looking at it from a standpoint of they're trying to hook somebody because of the color of the label, but maybe it's about competition, meaning like if they want to sell their product, they need to make their product look more appealing than the guy who has the same exact flavor profile and a different brand. And I think that sometimes it's not so much about who they're trying to attract. It's just about trying to attract or get your attention away from that other thing that exists. And so if you've got two brown boring labels on the shelf and they're side by side and one says vape company A and vape company B and they're both kiwi strawberries, you're either buying both or you're flipping a coin. You're like, and you know what I mean? So I think it's about competition at that point too. I think it's about trying to get them. They're like, ooh, what's that shiny thing over there?
Mine was all about the fonts. Okay.
Fonts are
specific
big.
fonts.
Fonts are big.
Right?
You hit it on the
Well,
nail.
LabWorks, that actual font is the same font that is actually very, very famous in sci-fi circles. It's the same font that they used in 2001. It was on all the doors and everything in all the old sci-fi movies. Yeah. Probably not a lot of people remember the original movie, but the Andromeda strain, this was the font that was used right throughout the whole facility at Wildfire.
Yeah.
They're like little things. Someone actually picked up on it one day and they said, how the fuck did you find that font, that one specific font? And I said, I went on a mission just to find that font. I want that font. Yeah. And you could market that font across everywhere because it's so clean.
Yeah.
But then people that know where it came from, and all my liquids, they're named after sci-fi. Like Event Horizon is a milk chocolate banana bread. LV426 is a citrus punch. Things like that. That's why I went down that pathway. And this suited that whole theme.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you brought up font because that's like a big deal.
It's huge.
Font's such like a huge deal. I mean, all right. I'm going to take them for instance. They're not allowed to package their e-liquid any longer in this bottle.
Barista.
Yeah, this is done. Yeah. You're never, why isn't it not focusing? Don't be Tim's camera. There we go. Yeah, this is no longer happening. I mean, do you guys find, and I'm not, everybody out there knows I'm a barista fan, but do you find that this is an appropriate packaging for their product? I want your guys' opinion.
Frankly, I think, again, for me, it's not about, oh, snap, I want to buy it because it looks like it's going to be more awesomer than some other thing. I think that was a message to say we're about the coffee shop. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you like that vibe, you like that coffee shop vibe, that semi-Starbucks sort of angle, this is where our flavor profiles sit. And so I think it's a marketing ploy to get people to look at their coffee shop type thing. But I don't think it was about trying to attract kids. It was like, here's my message. This is what our vapes are all about. So so you're saying they can't do the cup anymore? Or they can't use that round circle branding.
Well, the cup was the packaging. So you.
Okay. Well, I never bought any online, so.
So you got your bottle, whatever like flavor it was in that cup. So when you got your cup, that's where your juice was in the inside.
Right.
So
the other one was what's the name of out in New York? Bad Drips, and their bottle.
I made it up.
It was actually a pill bottle.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, drip.
Bad Drips. Yeah. I remember that one as well. But these days,
that was kind of sketchy, though.
Yeah, I know, because you saw the label and it was like a prescription label on the outside of the bottle, and I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. Some of their liquids weren't that bad, but Barista was one that. They were the ones that really, at first, they were the ones that got a lot of heat for what they were doing.
Yeah, for the cup.
Because of the cup and the logo.
Yeah,
that was the two things. But yeah, fonts play probably one of the biggest parts. And if you've got a font that you can then brand as well, and it looks great on like a t-shirt, wherever, okay?
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Lost Faith? Or was it... No, it wasn't Lost Faith. It was... what's the name of that? It'll come to me in a minute. But even hardware manufacturers with their fonts and their packaging. You had Joytech back in the day with the Evic Mini. That was a very clean font.
Yeah.
Everything was very, very clean. And then it started growing rapidly as some of the younger people got into the industry, and they just went looking in their art departments were just looking for the wildest thing that they could do. Steam Crave. That's who I was trying to think of. Steam Crave, very, very clean.
Yeah.
Very clean. Across everything that they've done.
Yeah.
And I've still got a couple of their old T-shirts. That was another clean font. They chose something that they could put on their devices, on their packaging, on a T-shirt, on a sticker, any of it.
Yeah.
And it worked. Oh, yeah. Coke was another. That's another one.
You brought up a good thing, because if you look at JUUL's packaging, there's nothing kid about it.
No, not at all.
It's a black package. It's a black package with JUUL. That's it. I mean, it did say mango on it.
But I think that they were able to sort of like
market it.
They marketed it down a channel that definitely was pushing towards a particular crowd, and they had a huge market share, and they were easily accessible through the C stores. Whereas vaping stuff has always been either online or in specialty shops for the most part. So that was just not the general path that people would go and buy that something.
Let me ask the youngster there. You're heading to the vape shop, youngster, and you're looking for a coffee vape.
I need a new nickname, first of all.
All right, we'll come up with something. Does that barista packaging draw your attention to it more so than some of the other packaging?
I mean, yeah. Like, I'll look and go, huh?
Because specifically you're looking for that coffee, right?
Yeah.
Well, even if I wasn't specifically looking for a coffee flavor, I mean, if it was sitting on a shelf, I'd kind of look at it and go, huh, what's that?
Yeah.
And then, someone tells me what it is. Huh, okay. I mean, granted, I like coffee flavors, so then maybe I might be, and too.
Yeah.
At the time, it sort of also depended on, because, like, I would sort of ask, like, the people working at the shop if they had, tried it before. And
back in the days, they would have had a sample bottle there for you to taste, which made life much easier.
One time, and I actually had to go down to Alabama to do it because they don't really do it here.
Yeah.
So, I tried like one flavor even too. So it wasn't even as if I got to like actually sit and like, sample out, different flavors. But, I mean, yeah, if I walk into a shop and even if I, am not necessarily looking for a coffee flavor, I'll see that packaging and go, wonder what that is. Like, so it'll kind of pique my curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I know with JUUL, they just went down the wrong path. I that could have been the product that changed. It did change everything, but it could have been the product that could have changed everything for the better. And if they would have marketed it more towards, the 40-year-old, the 30-year-old, the business guy that's, fighting the urge for a cigarette, they did make their mistake. I love the product. I think the product is great. They had a great model for the product. They understood the appeal of making it more of, I hate saying the word, but Apple-ish. Is that, can I say that, Tim? Apple-ish?
Apple-ish? Well, I used awesomer, so I think you're more than welcome to use a word that's absolutely nonsensical, sure.
Yeah, they made it, simplified a product that, for many years was something difficult. It, this leaked, that leaked, this didn't work. You had to go buy 18650 batteries. You had to go buy cotton. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. And they had an opportunity. I think they blew it because they didn't blow it because they made billions of dollars. But
but then, okay.
Yeah.
If JUUL comes out this year and gets marketing authorization, okay, and that's the next one to get it. You watch what happens.
Yeah.
The ants are just going to go.
Yeah.
Like, they're just going to go hammer and tong. And the war will get even bigger.
Well, that's because that's their ultimate nemesis, and that's their metric for everything else that's vape related. That's the only thing that they know that they can identify with. They just think that anything else is just like JUUL or
Right.
just
Correct.
as strong.
Yeah,
They don't understand.
if you let's put this scenario together. I mean, if you think JUUL would have went down the same path Blue did in the beginning, if they would have stayed down, I still believe that that product was good enough to be where it was, even if they wouldn't have marketed to the children or whatever, to the kids or the teenagers, because I think they had a product that made sense. It worked. It was easy. It was simple. It was streamlined. It didn't have any child packaging on it. I don't know. Maybe they just made a mistake and hired the wrong marketing people. And basically is what happened.
No, I think they had a set goal in mind. I think
You think they
I think
wanted
they
that
wanted
30?
to kick the door in and sell billions of units and take business away from other people. I think that was their goal.
It was the
Okay,
Silicon Valley theory.
Well, yeah, correct. But
I'm big, I'm bad, I'm Apple, I'm taking you out.
but with JUUL, right, and their marketing budget and strategy, they had the opportunity to completely change the government's mind.
Yeah.
They didn't use it the right way.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Nick will back me up on that one as well. We had a discussion about this a couple of years ago. They could have changed the whole face of the industry, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It backfired.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, I mean, do you? God, it's kind of hard to be in someone's head, but do you?
There you go.
I mean, Tim said it, but do
That
you
feels
think?
right.
Did he go into that market with the JUUL? I don't know the guy's name. I forgot his name, but do you think his intent was to go in to sell units, or was it to go in to give people a product that was simple to use and it was going to help them with their journey?
I don't think JUUL gave a fuck. I think they had zero fucks to give. They may have tried to be sort of like the wolf in sheep's clothing by kind of trying to semi-pitch the whole idea that this was an answer to smoking and that it was going to be, and we're going to give you an easy, convenient product to start that process. I think that was just the veil. I think that they knew exactly what they were doing with the way they were targeting things. Because I mean, ultimately, they targeted a crowd that really wasn't a bunch of smokers trying to quit. Yeah. They were like, let me show you this cool, convenient, electronic device that that can replace smoking, but is better for you or whatever.
I kind of believe you on that one, but I kind of also take into consideration the design and the intent of the product. Because when you look at that product in the beginning, I think they filled a need that they realized what was going on in our community. And that was people complaining and quitting because A, tanks were leaking. B, they didn't want to build coils. C, the shops always ran out of coils, or the coils weren't lasting. I think, to me, I maybe I'm naive, but I believe whoever that guy was, I think he did intend in the beginning to come out with a product that was going to be simple to use for that 25-year-old smoker who didn't want to have this huge device look like remember we got joked that we were robots or something. I can't remember what everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we all had the Blues and the V2s and the Halo stuff early on, I mean, that was all pre-JUUL. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, maybe I am being naive, but I kind of want to believe that he went in with that intent. I think he saw a market that was frustrated, that was tired of, products that weren't performing to what was promised, as far, like I said, leaking tanks, I mean, when you got started, did you really want to having to go hunt down for cotton? Did you really want to go figure out how to make these coils? I mean, some of us did, and some of us used that to get away from smoking. That helped me. Building did help me, that urge and late at night. But I kind of want to believe that he did go into that intent. I think he went in, he saw what was going on in this market. He saw that this could be a product that was simple to use, easy, accessible everywhere.
Yeah.
And I really truly, because people say it was the marketing company's fault, that they chose this marketing company. This marketing company sold them on this, and instead of saying to them, "Hey, we can help smokers here, or we can bring in a new generation of people." And I think that was the intent of that marketing company in the beginning, is like, "Hey, let's not worry about helping people quit smoking. Let's get millions to get hooked on his product,
Well,
and let's sell." I mean, I could be
who's
wrong.
blocking
Maybe I'm
you
being
now?
naive. I mean, you guys tell me. I mean, I
Well,
believe that the guy
well,
went
now
in with
I
that
mean
intent.
the fact that you brought that part up, I mean, does make a lot of sense because I think that that's really sort of like the idea behind top-notch marketing is that
Yeah.
you find the element that somebody's looking for that they weren't getting somewhere else, and you capitalize on that. And so I agree with you in the sense that
Yeah.
there were people that were falling off the wagon who couldn't maintain vaping because DTL wasn't working for them,
Yeah.
or that particular MTL device wasn't really satisfying them. Maybe the nicotine levels were too low. I mean, they came in
Yeah.
with 60 milligram
Yeah.
right out of the gate. So they knew that they were going to have a product that was like, if you're going to talk about nicotine being addicting in any way, shape, or form, you're talking about selling JUULs through a channel where people weren't going to get the proper support and guidance that they needed. It was like, here's this thing, it's better for you than smoking. Go ahead and try it. And then getting people hooked on 60 milligram
Yeah.
nicotine. And of course, people at that point find a way to exploit that. But my point is that, yeah, they saw a niche. They found a spot where they were like, yeah, people would continue to vape if they had the right type of device, the right types of flavors, and the right thing to keep them coming back to it, i.e. high milligram Nick salts. Because let's be realistic, how many times have we all been talking to someone online or in a vape group or even in person, and they're like, yeah, I don't know. Like I keep vaping on this thing, and I start feeling sick, or makes me feel weird or something. Like, well, what are you vaping? Well, I'm vaping on a
Yeah.
JUUL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I already kind of know where this is going, and I'm like, that's not designed for you to chain vape all day long. You're not supposed to burn through 2 pods in a
Yeah.
day.
Right.
That's like one pod should be lasting you, if anything, a couple of days. It's a craving killer. It's supposed to fill the void for
Yeah.
when you wanted that cigarette, not as something to just keep kind of pulling on. You're getting Nick sick. You need to chill. And so, but they didn't want to take that culpability.
Yeah.
They didn't want to look at it like, oh shit, they knew exactly what that product might or might not do. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, some of
Yeah.
it was a little nefarious as well.
Yeah. Anything, Paul? I mean, I'm not. Hey, don't get everybody out there. Don't get me that I'm backing JUUL. I'm not backing JUUL. I think it was
No.
they just made They made a huge mistake. They had a product that was just going to work. It was going to work. It was
Right.
just marketed poorly, and it was just.
Well, it wasn't only JUUL at that stage. You watched a couple of the smaller Chinese companies diving into like the disposable type market and very small pod systems.
Yeah.
You had JUUL with the Caliban, and then
Yeah.
they were the ones that changed the whole scope and marketplace at that point in time.
Yeah.
They took an idea of JUUL, but then they refined it again.
Yeah.
Okay. But JUUL was also the one that actually broke the barrier back in the day with the Crown V1. They were the ones that broke the barrier and the sub-ohm barrier with
Yeah.
with a proper tank and proper coils.
Yeah.
Then other companies started following along JUUL's pathway. Right. Then the last 18 months, 2 years, we've watched what could have been such a good transition, and we're now watching it all being crushed again because everyone went into disposables and not into refillable pod systems, which they should have developed even further.
Yeah.
Geek Vape was another one, right, that came out with specific devices that were pods, but much larger pods. They were internal battery and then external battery type situations. they went forward again. They moved that to another level, right? Yeah. Bill's 100% right.
Yeah.
But if you look back at the companies that are still in play, you've got the big boys there still, right? That are still manufacturing hardware. Some of them are listening to the consumers. Others are just marketing and creating whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
But the smart ones are the ones that are really listening and refining a product before they bring it to market.
Yeah.
They're the ones that I'm interested in. Like SX Mini, they were always around with their stuff, and like especially when they released the G class, that was a game changer because of the chip that was in it. Now they're coming out with these little devices,
right?
But it comes in two variants. One that's a refillable pod system, the other one that is a disposable pod in 30 milligrams. They've capped it at that level, which is very, very smart.
Yeah,
this is a very well refined product.
Yeah,
it's very well manufactured. And
exactly,
put
it is. It is. I mean, that's even JUUL. I mean, JUUL.
That was such a smart design.
You think things would have been different? You think it would have been different if JUUL would have offered an open system in the beginning?
Yes.
It
would have been completely different. If they had an open system or a refillable system, when they came to market, I don't think they would have been where they are now, or the trouble that they're in. I'm not a refined product. Don't worry about that. I'm not a bottle of gin. But I wish now, looking back at what JUUL did, if they'd come out with a very small device with a coil similar to BVC from Aspire, a low wattage device that was refillable, they would have been in the same place now as JUUL and Aspire are.
Yeah.
But bringing out that closed system first and foremost, and that was it. They shut that gate.
Yeah.
Right then from the get-go.
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with his idea of what he was trying to grab in the beginning. I really do believe that he was filling a void. I really do. Money is always money, but I think he was smart enough to see that there was this void that was out there. There were people that were 2 weeks, 3 weeks in that just quit. And Nick brought up a perfect thing. He said college kids. And let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people get started smoking when? In college. College is like you make that evolution into cigarettes. You start drinking the shit out of coffee, So I think money, he was trying to fill that niche. I mean, I don't see the college kid carrying this around. I don't see the college kid carrying a big mod around. I see the college kid carrying.
They do now
because they have no choice.
But now you're seeing college kids, and this is the truth. I know of certain college kids. They're now looking at Smovesto and things like that for the K funds and ultra high quality liquids. Because they want to vape going through. Like through college. Yes, it does help you study. No two ways with that on nicotine. But they're now looking for devices for longevity, not something that they're paying, $20, $30 every second day. They're going, no, well, fuck this. What are these high-end devices that we keep hearing about? What are these tanks that we can vape whatever the hell we want in, and all we have to do is clean it out and put it back together again? What is this magic? What is this magic?
I see that here too, because I see it now in Instagram. People that I used to see, with, I hate saying it, smock. Let's just say smock products and maybe your lower to mid-level products. Now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you decided to move over to K-Fun, or you start seeing products on Instagram where the only place you're going to see them, to be honest, is on Todd's page.
Oh yeah, Mark Todd. Well, no, I don't go there with no.
But
I'm not
I'm
allowed
just saying,
on his page anymore.
you didn't see that on the American Instagram side. You didn't see the guy spending $185 American for a mouth-to-lung device that was being featured on Todd's page. You just didn't see that. And to be honest, a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was really hard to get that product. That mouth-to-lung device from either K-Fun. I'm trying to think of the other names. They're in the back of my head, and some of the stuff that came out of Greece.
Typhoon,
and
you've got the what's his name?
And I love that because now I
know who you're talking about.
Yeah, at least now I know you have a product that's not going to leak. You're going to take care of it. You spend a lot of money for it. You're going to be wise with it. Before we jump into the news, I wanted the last thing spotlight. Do you think the spotlight those in the community that are celebrating these achievements? Can we get companies to do stuff like that, or even are they even allowed to do anything like that?
I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
I mean that's where I think we need to get back to. I think we need to stop showing the pictures of the 21-year-old or the 25-year-old on the skateboard riding through the park, vaping on his. I don't care. You're 21, you're an adult. That's fine. If you're still on a skateboard, hey, I'm not going to shit on you because Tony Hawk's a fucking millionaire and he's 50 years old and he's still riding a skateboard. So I'm not going to shit on you. But do you think should they have those pictures of Tim, of Paul, of me, not Morgan, but youngster, #youngster. Is that something that we should have them do? I mean, I don't know how to go about that, but as a photographer, I'm not going to lie to you, getting a black and white of some old guy smoking a cigarette is always I could post that picture and get thousands of likes for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, but I think we're smarter than the average bear when we see the imagery that they use in terms of their influencer pictures to try to sell products. Is we don't even know if we can believe like half the vape girl stuff that I see on Instagram. I'm like, she probably doesn't even vape. You know what I mean? She's just paid to stand there and hold something. So I go back to my original statement when I say that if you really want to make this more homegrown feeling, more down to earth, more real people style, you need to have imagery that depicts that, the average guy who's, kicked smoking because of this particular product. And I think that it's a great marketing campaign, only because it would kind of make it maybe more appealing to the person who's unsure of it. Like, what's this sensationalized thing called vaping? And it's all flashy and neon lights and rave clubs and shit.
Right. I mean, think about it this way: if you were scrolling through your Facebook feed and you saw this 65-year-old man vaping, is that your opinion of that product going to change if you have that same picture of the 25-year-old guy vaping? To me, when I see the 50 or 60-year-old guy vaping, I'm thinking to myself, hey, what is this thing? Is this working for him? I'm going to dig in a little deeper where I see the 25-year-old or the 21-year-old, whatever, in the same situation, let's just say sitting at a bistro out front in a restaurant. He's vaping. I'm going to think different when I see the 60-year-old guy doing it.
Yeah. The marketing person in you is probably going to be like, if we do that, it's not going to sell as many units as if we had it look all flashy and cool and clubbed out. But again, it all depends on the company you are and what your marketing practice is. And if your goal is, I have a product that I think is going to save lives and help people quit smoking, then the imagery should be of the latter as opposed to the former, which we've all kind of grown accustomed to now. And again, like I said, someone may shy away from that type of a campaign because they'll be like, it's just not going to turn as many units. I'm not going to sell that product fast enough. You know, I'm going to be sitting on inventory because I'm trying to cater to a quit smoking crowd and not a, hey, just try it for no fucking reason crowd.
Yeah, fuck your inventory.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, this year I'm doing a couple of like rather large collaborations with 2 hardware manufacturers. And we're going to try and get as many devices into hands of smokers from around the world. That's my goal for 2022. Okay. And by being completely transparent about the whole mixing process, the manufacturing process of the liquids, and end to end, all the data sets are going to be there on show and testing data.
Yeah.
But working with one specific or 2 hardware companies, I think that could be the way to change a lot of perspectives. And we can then send those data sets and all our testing data to the governments and say, look, fuck you. This is real. This is, bang. This is a real device. It helps. I've got doctors as well here in Australia that are willing to actually promote said products. But again, you're not allowed to promote them openly on a fucking website anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
They knock you on the head for that.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean,
enough is enough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for capitalism. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. But, you know, if this industry needs to survive, it needs to swing back into that saving lives. It needs to go back to saving lives before profits. And I get it. It's hard to do both. But like, even, you know, I mean, a kid, exactly what Bill just wrote there. I mean, a kid doesn't want to look cool because what grandpa's doing. Grandpa's vaping. I that's not something I want to do. I mean, I think we need to get back to that. I think companies need to start, you know, if they're going to use influencers, you can still use it. You know, a photographer is a photographer. If he's a good photographer, he's going to find an image that works for both things. It's going to work for the company as far as promoting the product, and it's also going to work as a advocacy tool for that product as well in the industry. I mean, I belong to one of the largest photograph Facebook group pages, and this last year, the one thing that I've noticed is photographers shitting on other photographers for posting pictures of people smoking. I've never seen that in 20 years. You know, Facebook hasn't been around that long, but that used to be the it's like the, I don't know what word to use, but that used to be like the photograph to have, you know, that black and white of this, you know, 65, 85-year-old guy, wrinkled face, and, you know, with the cigarette in his hand and a little puff of smoke. I mean, that used to be the shot. If you got that shot, it was a great shot. But this is the first year, this last year and part of this year now, but that's the first time I've seen people say, well, that'd be a great picture if the cigarette wasn't there. And I think that's great. I think that's great, you know, but I mean, now, does that image change if it's the guy vaping? Now, if he's vaping, that to me, I'm looking at that and go, hey, you know what? Good for him. Good for him. He made a smart move. You know what I mean? I think maybe, you know, companies pushing influencers to not just promote the product, but also to get creative, get some advocacy in that photo, you know, get something, you know, go out and earn that $100 for that fucking shot, you know, and find someone that's out there that's vaping, that's in that demographic that you want to, you know, you want to sell. So, I mean, that's it. That's my whole spiel. I mean, anything else you guys want to touch on as far as what companies should do as far as, you know, celebrating the generation that is vaping, that is using it for the right reasons?
Yeah, I agree. Straight out of the box.
Yeah. I'll come and do some photo shoots with you in Australia, Paul. But I'm using Canon. Don't get upset that I'll bring in Canon stuff.
They won't. They'll stop you at the border for that one. They don't like it here. But I think that some of the influencers really need to take a step back and look at how they've got to where they've got to.
Yeah.
And where the hell did they lose their way along that journey?
Yeah, but I'm starting to feel like they may not have a choice, right? It's going to get so constrained at this point that the channels are going to be more and more narrow, and they're not going to have this free-for-all marketing palette that they can just have fun with. If they want to sway opinion at this point and get things to go a different direction, they're going to have to dial it back down and start marketing it to what it's intended to be for.
Yeah.
Because those will be the units that they will sell. Because now it's also about converting public opinion, because there are people who may have tried vaping at one point, but because of all the anti stuff that's out there and the propaganda stuff that's out there, they're terrified of it because they think that it's worse. And so if you have that mindset and you turn around and see an ad where it's about, hey, I'm vaping in a club, and you know, and you know, we're gonna dance the night away and have our shots of friggin' Cuervo, then they're gonna be like, this can't be good for you. This marketing, you know, look doesn't sell me that product because it looks like it's something I shouldn't be doing. If you have to go back to its roots in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Exactly.
It's different.
You got something? Go ahead.
No, it's just different. It's different these days, and you're right, Tim. Unless people actually really dig their heels in and put the time and effort into at least trying to get something into what they're putting together, it's not going to be there. Their little cash cow is not going to be there for them at the end of the day. They have to start coming. What the hell?
I'm going to kill Daniel. I'm going to go down Daniel. Cow.
Screw you.
I mean,
I'm over 9,000. Don't worry about me.
Me and Tim and Morgan, you know, we're Americans. We're all about capitalism. I get it. You know, you don't go into business to lose money. I understand that. But in the beginning, what I loved about this industry is I heard the stories of why these people got into this business, and whether they were truthful or not, I don't know. But, you know, a lot of their intent was, you know, they're ex-smokers or they were addicts of some sort of vice that they had. And this was working for them. And they and they had a product there, you know, they were DIYers that wanted to get that product because it worked for them. And I loved that. And it seems like as time has gone by in the last 10 years, that intent has changed. And I understand, you know, like I said, you don't go into business to lose money. I get that.
Bill's 100% right there. Yeah. Complain about the new customers, because they started ignoring.
Yeah.
There was a whole generation of smokers that they could have converted.
Yep. They missed the boat.
Well, Jimmy and Phil, they're still all about that. And you look at Jimmy's model in Greece, and now he's expanding into Europe. And he's got the right idea. Putting together a starter kit with a bottle of liquid.
Bingo.
For $20, and then sitting down with that customer for half an hour. Bang.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I mean, they did. They lost that process, that process that we all went through in the beginning, and they didn't focus on that. And the market dictated that everybody started out with 3 and 6, and that just wasn't going to work for everybody. And all the manufacturers, I watched it from the beginning because I did photos for all these companies, and all of a sudden I was like, "Where's 18? Where's 24?" It was gone, and all of a sudden, hey, all we have in stock is 3 and 6. 3 and 6, 3 and 6. I'm
Stupid.
Who starts with 3 and 6? Nobody does. All right, let's get into Mr. Tim. And no, Tim, I'm sorry. You know, I swear to God, I swear to you, Tim, I will fix it right after this show. I'm gonna have to go back. Because I can't remember the bands that you said you wanted. But DM me the name of the bands after it will be done. I will send it to you, and you will either okay or tell me go back to work on it.
Who wants to put some money on this bullshit right now? There we go.
All right, where is your bumper? Oh, it's right here, Rock's bumper.
I don't know where it is.
Click the button.
I know you love that bumper.
I'm over Metallica. They're metallic crap. Metallic crap. Tap, 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 tap. All right. So, because I know you guys enjoy that part so much. You're lucky I risk paper cuts just for you. Just saying. All right. So we're going to talk about the usual 2 stories. I'm going to keep them short and sweet tonight. These weren't really too long-winded or drawn out. We're actually not even going to, until the very end in the advocacy piece, touch on the United States. So I apologize to everybody who was looking for U.S. news. We covered the U.S. Considerably last week. So we're venturing outside the country just so we can get a view or scope on what's happening elsewhere in the world, because it all seems to be a reflection one way or another, right? Like what countries are following our lead, which countries are ahead of us, and what lead might we follow. So I do think that it's relative to look at what other countries are doing with their vaping policy and where they're going with stuff. These aren't studies so much. These are more about bills and laws and things of that nature. So let's talk first about the Philippines. The Philippines. I'm sure many of us have Filipino friends. Yes, yeah, a lot of good stuff comes out of the Philippines. So, in this particular case, now I'm going to be right up front. After reading through this article and after going through a lot of the detail, this is purely an advocacy-based article. I could not find anything that specifically detailed the advocacy that the thing they were advocating for. It was just stated that this thing exists, but I couldn't find any details about it. So, and I'm probably going to fumble the ball on this one. I'm going to Len Berman this thing. Fumble Ruski. Is it Duterte? Duterte? I don't know how to say this guy's name. His first name's Rodrigo. He's the president. President Rodrigo Duterte. I don't know. Any Filipino people in the chat can help me with that one. I don't know.
Calling out all Filipinos.
Calling all Filipinos. Help me with that name. I'm sure I'm saying it. I'm sure I butchered it.
Hey, Tim,
anyway,
do we have any visuals for this segment?
We do, and I'm glad that you brought that to my attention, John, because I'm looking at the visual and you guys aren't. So yeah, how about that news right there?
It's all about the new John in 2022, baby.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh shit.
I apologize for the lack of visuals for the first 5 minutes of that that pitch. It wasn't a very exciting picture anyway. They're just they wanted a signature on the line. All right, so tobacco harm reduction proponents are currently urging the Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. I don't know how to say it. I don't know. It's spelled like that. There you go. Duterte. They're urging him to sign a bill into law that makes it easier for smokers to switch to e-cigarettes. Absolutely. We would love it if every government would do stuff like that, if every president would do things of that nature. But this is what I was trying to kind of glean towards, is I could not find anything in this article or any of the linked articles, the Manila Bulletin, and there's another one somewhere buried in here, that specifically addressed this bill. Is this a standing bill? Was this a drafted bill? Is it in legislation right now? Is it an afterthought? Is it a thought? I don't know. Apparently they're supporting the signature of a bill that would give, or that would allow easier access to e-cigarettes and tobacco. What's the word they use? Alternative nicotine products in relationship to getting people away from smoking. Consumers and harm reduction advocacy groups penned a letter to the president, stating that the passing of the vape bill could save millions of Filipino smokers. Again, this elusive bill that I don't know anything about. I don't know what's in the bill. They do mention a few things. So just so you get a kind of an idea of who signed the letter was signed by Vapers PH. I'm guessing stands for, it's not Filipino, Philippine something. Vapers Philippines, Vapor ACO, Smoke Free Conservation PH Philippines, and Nicotine Consumer Union of the Philippines, as well as a multitude of others. They're all listed down here in this paragraph here. So several advocacy groups are standing behind this and urging the president to sign it. They also stated that by signing the vape bill into law, it would add the Philippines to the growing list of progressive countries that believe in providing less harmful alternatives to their smoker population who don't want to stop smoking, or may just not know what those alternatives are. So I'm not currently aware of the full laws in the Philippines. I know that there was some talk about that. I don't know if it was banned or it's illegal or something like that. I feel like it was. What was the stuff that I heard? There was some stuff going on. Maybe you guys can comment on it, where some president was like saying he was going to go around shooting people if he found you with vape stuff. Is that this guy?
No, I thought it was in Malaysia. I thought
was that the Malaysia?
No, it's Malaysia and the Philippines actually. The Filipinos were very much against vaping, and then a lot of the industry stood up to what was actually happening.
Right.
And by putting this bill together, like drafting it, but actually working with the different organizations over there, and then also throwing out the money that the Filipino FDA was caught to have, this has now changed the whole set of rules. The goalposts now are quite clear, but you had a group of doctors in the Philippines actually trying to go against this bill being put forward, which was completely stupid.
Right. So there is a bill that someone drafted the bill. I'm guessing, but Paul, do you know anything about the status of is it just been a drafted bill and the government is mulling over it and talking about it? And then this is the effort by the advocacy groups to stand behind that?
Correct. And what was happening is, I actually think this bill's been signed now. And it was
a recent article.
It was being drafted last year and the year before. And I think it was after COP9 that they really stepped up and they just said, no, enough is enough. And at COP9, the Philippines actually got the Dirty Ashtray Award 3 times because of this bill coming forward. The doctors' side of things was stating that if this bill gets actually brought in, that this will actually bring up youth vaping numbers, which is completely the opposite of what they've found now. And it's also now growing a much bigger industry, and making sure that the manufacturing of said high-end mods and liquid manufacturers now in the Philippines, we could go and set up shop there tomorrow and start a liquid company over there and be quite well off very quickly.
Right.
But this now is probably one of the best things that these guys could have done.
Right. All right, so moving along, the group noted that the bill bans the sale of vapor products to minors and has provisions to prevent the sale of unregulated products. So, I mean, there is positives within this bill. I think it's the regulation that I think most people would agree to, even here in the United States. If there was a bill that sort of gave vaping a pass, we certainly would want there to be stipulations in it that would ban the sale. Well, it's already banned anyone younger than 21. So, I mean, we have laws already on the books. And, of course, we would have stiff penalties or fines for people trying to sell unregulated products out in the marketplace. So try to deter some of the black market too. Not only does it ban the sale and use of vapor products to minors, but it also bans advertising and promotion of vape products within 100 meters of schools and playgrounds. So that, again, these are not unusual expectations of any vaping bill that could be passed anywhere. I mean, it's already illegal to advertise in certain cities and states within a certain distance from a school or a playground and stuff like that. So, I mean, that part already exists. So these are all positives in the bill. The group stressed that with the growing positive science evidence coupled with their life-changing experiences, their resolve is stronger that vaping saves lives. So, I mean, I'm going to guess that, maybe some of these advocacy groups have a little bit closer access to their government structure than, say, we do. I mean, ours is a web that's, pretty deep. I mean, it's difficult to get on the inside up to Congress and stuff like that and try to influence things. So we kind of need the right people to do that particular talking. But you see that all the time. So my only wish in this is that they do sign this vaping bill into law. I would hate to see the people in the Philippines lose the opportunity to have access to safer products. But I did finish on my takeaways where I said I'm confused. I'm like, where is this bill coming from? Did someone in government pen this bill? The groups are rightfully endorsing it, but very little information to understand who wrote the bill and who's backing it in the government space. So I'm just coming from what I know, and that is that typically if a piece of legislation is drafted, you kind of know who wrote it and where it is in the process, and who's endorsing it. The number of signatures behind it. There it is, Senate Bill 2239. Thank you, Bill. Bill with information on the bill. Bill about the bill.
Real quick, you guys like this format a little better, where it's picture in picture. They just added it to StreamYard, so you guys can see the website a little better.
Sure, and I don't have to zoom into 300%.
Right. Is this better?
Yeah,
like it, Tim?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go with this. We just made an executive decision in front of all of you.
Bam.
Now you want to know what it's like behind the scenes. There you go. That's what it's all about. That was a live reaction. All right, so there's that. Go Philippines. Go Philippines. All right, now let's talk about the other country that's talking about or waffling on what they're going to do. China. China. All right, so the long and short of this one is they're reviewing whether or not they're going to do an all-out ban on flavored vaping, e-liquids, and things of that nature. So there may be a shifting tide in the e-cigarette industry in China as they are considering a ban on flavored e-liquids, and it could happen sooner rather than later. I think this is a big one because China, so much stuff comes out of China. Half the people that design mods and things like that. I don't know that we buy much Chinese juice anymore. I'm thinking a lot of the stuff that we get is made locally made within the United States as far as distribution goes.
You would be shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm
really knew.
A lot of liquid from China, and it's the disposables.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not part of that disposable gang.
You're a true vapor. You're a true vapor.
Yeah, I'm hardcore. I'm OG. I'm OG.
Like me and Paul.
Right. So earlier this month, the Chinese government released a draft bill to the public for comment that would essentially forbid the selling of flavored e-cigarettes such as marijuana, and other flavors that easily induce minors. When I read that sentence, induce minors, I just think of a woman getting ready to have a baby and they're going to induce labor. And I just, for a moment in my head, I just saw a bunch of children having babies.
Welcome to America.
Welcome to America. Babies having babies. So the current list of proposed banned flavors is not yet set in stone, but it does include 122 flavors that regulators should consider prohibiting, including numerous fruit and alcohol flavors.
Yep.
So who knows? I mean, but if you take 122 flavors and you say, well, that's spread out across all the different flavor profiles that pretty much could be made or exist, that's probably a massive amount of flavors that would pretty much train wrecked the whole idea about it.
It is.
Along with the flavor ban, they're also considering levying new taxes on e-cigarette sales. Does this sounds a lot like the United States?
Yeah, it does.
Sounds an awful lot like the United States, although it's China. Meanwhile, official media outlets have been ramping up their campaigns against vaping this past month. Oh my God, this is just like the United States. Including messaging that suggests, shocker, secondhand e-cigarette vapor is as harmful as secondhand smoke. So these are the media outlets now. They're riding the propaganda train over there as well, and so they're parroting the same kind of stuff that we see and hear on the daily. But again, a mirror of exactly, for the most part, what's going on here. The PMTA, get rid of all the flavors. Let's tax the shit out of e-cigarettes, which we got lucky on that one. Doesn't mean the states can't do it, but the federal government dropped the bill for now, or dropped the legislation for now. Another cause for concern among vape vendors is that, this is a big one, Paul will nod on this one, is that the nation's tobacco monopoly law was amended to include a clause that mandates e-cigarettes be regulated the same as combustible tobacco. Again, just like the U.S. Just like the U.S.
Joke. That's a joke.
Right. So, I mean, China is basically China's following our playbook. Unsure of how this new regulation will affect consumers immediately, but it does put a halt on new introductions to the vape market, and no more e-cigarette licenses will be issued. Now, I'm unfamiliar with that process. What does that mean, Paul? E-cigarette licenses?
Well, that's manufacturing.
Okay.
That will make the big companies now even bigger. They'll have to swallow up the smaller manufacturers because they won't have the money to actually put forward for the actual testing and requirements for said factory. Okay. So Shenzhen now will be completely overhauled.
Yeah,
you'll see. Yeah.
So what does that mean in terms of the licenses for manufacturing and producing devices that a lot of developers and designers are collaborating with, say, here or other countries? Like, for example, Bogan, right? Like he works with Dovpo and a lot of those companies to create his devices. Do those licenses exist for him to continue doing business with them, or does that mean any new product he wants to develop or work with, collaborate on, he can't make?
No, still allowed to do all of that because Dovpo's got one of those licenses already.
Okay.
But you're going to see the smaller manufacturers or the smaller developers of hardware now get swallowed up by the big boys and girls for that matter. That's all it's meaning, but they're not going to hand out any of the new licensing for manufacturing facilities.
Okay. So basically, it doesn't mean that innovation stops, but that innovation will have to exist within the under the nameplates of the people who have the licenses.
Yeah, and the parameters will be changed as well with what they're allowed to design.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll be the other part that we'll see.
Gotcha. All right, so the big irony factor here, though, is that even though they're making this massive push to ban flavors and try to shut down some of the manufacturing angles and new products coming out, the biggest irony in all of this is that tobacco sales continue to outpace vape sales in China by leaps and bounds. So, ironically, the thing that they're trying to get rid of is not as big of an impact in that country as one would think, right? So, I mean, you know, they also have access to the heat not burn technology as well. I thought that was taking off, though.
Yeah,
I thought that pretty much was a hot ticket item.
Well, it is taking off quite well now in China, but you've got the tobacco companies which are actually owned by the state. That's where it all boils down. That's the stupidity about it.
Right.
But we're not talking about space modulators tonight, Curtis.
We're talking about vape advocacy. All right, so I don't remember the actual physical name of the device, but I just remember Marvin the Martian. All right. So my experts suggest that the hiking up of the price of so in tandem with all of this, being that the cigarette industry is still very booming over in China, a lot of experts are suggesting that they raise the price of cigarettes in order to become a deterrent for it. So they're trying to get rid of vaping, and then they're going to hike the price up of cigarettes, hoping that they can just tax the living shit out of people and that they won't buy them anymore, which is wrong because people are still going to find a way to pay for that thing that they're addicted to already. So, I mean, we haven't seen.
Who needs lunch?
Well, we have not seen where cigarettes have been taxed so heavily that it's completely made. It probably had some quitters in the pool, but a lot of people will continue to go ahead and buy those products regardless of the price hike in it. They want it. They're going to figure out a way to pay for it. So again, my takeaway was I said, sounds a lot like the U.S., doesn't it? I said, shame that they won't use vaping as the mechanism to drive people from smoking to more healthy lives. Limiting flavors will only keep those who might have quit with vaping to just continue to smoke. I had another personalized question in there. I took it out. I didn't want to take it to another level, but I was like,
Take
funny. It. Well, it's funny because we live in a republic here, and democracy is our angle, right? But we're doing the same thing that China's doing, and China is a communist country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little interesting to me that two completely governmental structures are gunning for the same thing, which tells me that there's something more at stake than just trying to,
Good point, Tim.
take something away.
And
Right.
at
Trade
least
agreements.
we have a voice. At least we
Trade
have
agreements.
somewhat of a
Simple.
voice.
There's Yeah, no, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, there's something bigger in play there.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it is funny to me that you would think in those two specific types of government structures that they would be things would be different. They would be viewed differently or handled differently or controlled differently when it effectively feels like one and the same. So there's that. So Philippines are looking to try to legalize vaping effectively or sign the vaping bill in China, I don't know. Could mean a gut punch in other ways to us. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that affects us in the short term. But right now, this bill is not signed. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep up on that one. I'm sure Bill will let me know. Bill's got his finger on the pulse of vaping news.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. All right, so let's talk a little advocacy. There's always advocacy that can be done, right? Like there's always something you can do from an advocacy standpoint. So I think that maybe what I'm going to try to do in the coming weeks, and at least introduce it, because I've been finding it harder and harder to find something specifically to direct you guys to say, hey, CASA's running a call to action. This state is getting ready to do a flavor ban. Those things will still happen, but there's just not as much of that readily happening right now. Now with the vape tax off the table and the shipping bans already in place, it's pick and choose, right? Because it's coming down at the state level. So some of us can't help in those arenas. Like we can't show up in Minnesota, and basically, advocate from that angle. Now we can do it from afar. So I think what I might try to introduce in the coming weeks is I think I'm going to go out and spend some time on Twitter, and I'm going to find a anti-tweet from someone. It could come from any angle. It could be somebody from another country. Could be somebody who's in general, could be talking about anywhere in the world. Groups like Parents Against Vaping. Groups like Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Groups like Truth Initiative. It could be independent people. There's several of them out there. But I think I'll go find a nice, juicy anti-tweet, and we'll present it on the show. And then we will encourage you guys who are out there in Twitterverse to go and counter that point and advocate in that way. Don't allow their messaging to stand on its own. Share your story. I don't want people to do this and think that I'm calling all dogs to just go harass somebody. That's
Right.
not the angle I want to take here. I don't want to just send people off to go cuss somebody out and be a jerk in the tweet response. I want you guys to be measured and use your story and be educated about your response and respond appropriately so that people can see your message as well. But I think that's a good vaping angle. I mean, an advocacy angle, because it's a way for you to get your voice heard, because Twitter is a decent space to make your points known. And if you were ever intimidated, I'll just give you the target and you go there and you respond to that. So
It's a new feature.
Yeah. So again, executive decision just made right before your very eyes. Actually, no, I suggested it before the show. But anyway, not this week.
Yeah,
Next week. So let's talk about some advocacy. This week, this is preemptive. So I want to talk. Oddly enough, I talked about Minnesota. So
high end stuff in that picture. Man.
Yeah, look at that. That is definitely name brand.
Name brand.
That's all name brand. That's all name. Look at that juice right there. That is name brand. That is pea yellow if I have ever seen it in my entire
I want
life.
that blue stuff.
I'm gonna guess. That's probably
away from that blue one.
That's Heisenberg.
Red.
This is Heisenberg, and then this is some random mango.
Yeah.
Well, red. Red's
What's
like
the red one?
or
What's the red
strawberry.
one gonna be?
There's two reds. There.
Yeah, I
This would be your knockoff Jam Monster.
What about the green one? Come on. What's the green one?
That is your St. Patrick's Day Leprechaun menthol.
Once a year.
Shamrock shake.
All of these juices are now 3 years old, and the nicotine they covered up the brown nicotine by putting food coloring in their juice.
Yeah.
Mallory's nailed it.
No. What did Mallory say? Cherry and water. No, I see the blue one is Smurf Piss. That's a good name. That's a good name for. Probably attracts some kids, Mallory.
Papa Smurf.
Just
Piss.
saying. Every kid wants to know what it's like to vape Smurf Piss. But anyway. So with that said, there's 20 Minnesota cities have now have local ordinances restricting or banning the sale of flavored tobacco products. I did not know that. I did not know that there were 20 cities that have specifically strict rules about vaping in those particular cities. Now, here's where the preemptive thing comes in: there's a lot of legislators at the state level who think that, with all these cities jumping on board and exacting these vape policies, that they think that it's going to set up some momentum to try to turn this and twist it into a full state flavor ban. Yeah. Okay? So my only point to this, because there's no call to action, there is no specific directive to say, hey, here's where you're going to go and here's where you're going to publicly comment. But my point behind this is that now is your chance to get out in front of the 8 ball, right? Yeah. Now is your chance, if you live in Minnesota and you are aware of your representatives, to go and get in their ear now and basically tell them your story and explain to them why this would be detrimental to you, as well as the people around you, immediately close to you, as well as the people who depend on vaping to keep from smoking cigarettes, and so this is a way to get ahead of the curve, because eventually I'd be willing to bet within the year's time you're probably going to see a call to action on Minnesota with the state legislature and them trying to put through a full statewide flavor ban. So I encourage you to make your voices heard, get louder now. So that's why I call it to your attention. But next week we'll do something different. And anyway, that is your news for the evening. I have had my time. Thank you very much. And
thank you, Timmy.
We'll see you next week.
I hate you because when you said measure, my mind went right to that movie. And now I cannot stop saying that in my head. You have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found not worthy. So that is stuck in my head. I don't know if you guys.
Here, I'll help you. I'll change it really quick. John, Racor, Mirror, Racor, Mirror.
I forgot the name of that movie, but he says that after he knocks the knight off his horse. He says, "You have been measured, you have been weighed, and you have been found not worthy. And that's been like,
okay.
I've always wanted to punch somebody, knock them out, get it right up on top of them and say that. I just wanted to say that. All right, we have real quick before we head on out of here, we have a Twitter shout out. Allison, let me pull up her thingy. And her thingy. Hold on. Shit. Everybody get on over. There's Allison's page. Hey, stop doing that.
Oh, Allison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get on over there. Give her a follow. And the reason I picked her today, she was on the show last week as well. And
Not last week.
Yeah, I was scrolling through her thing, and this tweet made me laugh. And let me see if we can get that.
Yeah, it's there.
Can you read it, Tim?
It says, I am going, she said, Vape Fam, I'm going to come out with a new line of e-liquid. The juice names will be as follows: debt, depression, work, and so on, just to ensure the kids won't want any part of it. Who wants in?
I thought it was funny. And yeah, you guys head on over there if you're not following her. Allison was on the show last week. If you go down her Twitter page, it's all about vaping, and it's all about saving this industry with retweets and posts of her own. So head on over there and give her a follow. And that is her Twitter. What did you call it?
Handle.
Thank you, Tim. That is her Twitter handle. Get on over there, give her a follow. And we're going to keep trying to keep these shout outs coming out. And, should we talk about that future show that let me get this off, or should we hold off? Should we hold off about talking about that now, or should we?
Yeah,
wait? We'll wait until we get our lists together.
Yeah.
But that is our show. Paul, you have anything you want to throw out there that you have going on?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Very little going on here until our government departments actually come back from their holidays.
Yeah.
So yeah. But soon there'll be a lot of news coming out of Australia, I hope. What, sis?
Everyone's enjoying the summer right now. They don't care about.
Yeah, those are great names, though. Hey, you got to need that repo in.
Thanks for joining.
I'm actually going to make a list. I'm actually going to make a line of liquids called just that. Yeah. Repo, kids, college fund, and hair loss.
Yeah. Arthritis. You got to have one called arthritis. You got to have a vape juice called arthritis in there.
And another one
rheumatoid. Rheumatoid.
Rheumatoid arthritis in.
Can we have one called gout? Can we have one called gout?
Yeah. Tax season.
One that's called just Ben Gay. It just tastes just like Ben Gay.
No.
Fuck off. No.
Thank you, but no thank you. I will pass on that one. Don't market that shit.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again, Tim, Paul, and our how would you say? Wisconian? Is that how
Wisconsinite?
Wisconsinite.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, Con. Thank you for coming, Shannon.
Yeah. Throw them out there, Tim. You got them.
Yeah, no, I mean everybody. Mallory, Luke, Curtis, everybody. You guys are the most awesomest group ever.
Yes.
Thanks for spending the everybody. I have to scroll for like a mile. Bill.
Green
I don't want to say Luke too many times because he's going to get an ego about it. He's
already big-headed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
guys, like, share, and follow. Please share our page. We would love to get our word out to more people. So share it. And we are out of here. We'll see everybody next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're out of here. Peace out. Love y'all.
Peace.